All right, good morning. It is Saturday, November 1 at 9:02 a.m., and it is time for the weekly Watchdog Wire rundown of stuff that I covered in the last week. And then I actually have three stories from the Clermont Sun. I couldn't control myself on how stupid some of the shit was. So I have three stories from the Clermont Sun that I'm going to hit on today as an example of how bad the news coverage is in Clermont County. As it relates to what I covered this week, I had said last week that I was super busy and wasn't going to cover as much. And on one hand, I didn't, but on one hand, I did. I covered more than I expected. So the four big things that I covered related to the Milford wrestling scandal with multiple stories, Joe Dill's sad individual in political office, Aaron Haslam, and Rudd, it should be and other Clermont County officials hiding records down at the bottom there. So those were the four big things that I talked about or covered this week on the Watchdog Wire. And let's dig in. What I want to do is run through each of them. Then I'm going to some of these just to kind of give a high level of what's going on. And this week was easier to kind of categorize the things by a topical area, and in each of them except one I had multiple reports on the topical area. So that's where we're going to roll and then we'll talk about the idiotic Clermont Sun stories. And I do have a thing I want to put in here is how best to engage me. I know people get frustrated that they reach out to me, and I get frustrated that people reach out to me and I don't have the bandwidth to get back with them. And I can tell you I've determined some things that are guaranteed that have much higher odds of getting me to engage with you quickly. And what things don't get me to engage with you quickly. And it's not personal, but I'll just tell you, okay? And let's start with the Milford wrestling scandal. And the first thing is Tony Brothers. So Tony Brothers, I believe it was September 30th, I encountered him in the park. And he was going to do an interview with me. It started out very contentious, and then he was going to do an interview with me. Let me play just a little of the beginning of this because it was kind of funny. And doesn't look like the audio's playing. So I'm looking at my screen here, and I'm not hearing the audio playing to you guys. But that Tony Brothers, let me do something real quick here. I apologize for me not being good at doing this, but I just want to make sure that it's sharing with audio and entire screen audio. This screen. All right, now let's see what we got going here. All right, because I might have hit the wrong option. And let's play the beginning of this. On Tuesday, September 30th, I encountered Tony Brothers here at Miami Meadows Park. It's now October 26th. And
before we sit down,
I'm going to get my act together.
I would like.
Going on?
Not much. How are you?
Just called here.
I didn't call for you.
You guys good?
Somebody called for you.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, so Johnny Law showed up to talk to us when we were in the park. You can go watch that whole thing. It's had a huge number of views. But Tony Brothers was always going to do an interview with me. He never did the interview with me. He was getting more records. That was fine. I, went along and was waiting, and then he just went silent. I told him when I talked to him, I think on September 30th in the park, that I was going to, I would never release that video unless he never did the interview that he told me he did. He wanted me to delete it in the park. He wanted me to delete it in return for him going to do an interview. But any event, so you can watch that. It's interesting. You can make your determination. Now I've gotten Tony Brothers and Courtney Walls on this Milford wrestling scandal. If you're totally live under a rock relating to me, this involves allegations of inappropriate contact and or content involving related to female wrestlers on the Milford High School wrestling team. Okay. And the base allegation was that a prior coach, Jason Babinek, had pictures that were circulated that were of a sexual nature of the girls, that Tony Brothers had those, that he showed them to Courtney Walls, so on and so forth. That's the basic outline of the allegations. What also came out this past week was that there had been a school investigation into this, and So I love the beginning of this. I wish I could have these not start playing, but I want to play this to say, I love that beginning here. Emily Mason, I think is this woman's name.
Well, it may seem like a cover up.
Poor conclusion. Yes, it does seem like a cover up because it is a cover up. Okay. So part of the cover up was that Milford, while all these people were claiming only the police were doing the investigation, you got to go to the police, Milford had actually done its own investigation with somebody on their payroll, independent, but on their payroll. And that investigation they had the results back, I think it was July 7th. So they knew July 7th. And it confirmed certain things like that there was highly inappropriate, stupid shit going on, like private practices with teenage girls, and that Aaron Zupka, the AD at Milford, is a serial cover-upper of shit, a serial non-reporter of shit. That I call their report a whitewash, okay? But even in the whitewash, Aaron Zupka gets called out for basically he should be charged. He should be charged with a crime for on more than one occasion not reporting stuff that he's legally required to report. But in the whitewash, after spelling out all the stuff he did wrong, they say there's nothing to see here, and Aaron Zupka's fine. So that's the second thing relating to the Milford scandal, and then the Babinek protection order thing. So Babinek, the prior coach, supposedly the origin of these pictures and so forth, he supposedly he tried to get a protection order against Courtney Walls. That finally had its full hearing. Somehow it ended up, it's not a protection order, but it's an agreement, which you can do, and they both have to stay away from each other. But I think that what it was is Babinek trying to give some bullshit excuse why he can't talk to the press. Jason Babinek needs to face a camera and the press and talk about couple things. Deny, based on what he's saying, would be denying that he's ever had, possessed, shared anything that was an inappropriate picture of a sexual nature involving a female wrestler on the Milford team. That's one. And two is to lay out what were the circumstances of his resignation that took place in the prior season because of the pattern of Aaron Zupka covering stuff up. Courtney Walls alleged that there was an incident involving these women, I think probably picture thing. Nobody's saying like it was, nailing them or something. That's not what's been the allegations. But there has been that there was something happen and that they had Zupka, a scumbag, had the girls sign some sort of paperwork saying that nothing had happened as part of a cover-up. That's a Courtney Walls allegation. If that's true, then that's just another reason to get rid of Zupka, and it says a lot about Babinek's resignation. Okay, and so Babinek needs to address those things. All right, let's go back here, and so that is everything that I covered in the last week relating to the Milford wrestling scandal. But by the way, it is absolutely disgusting that these people in these schools, and New Richmond did the same thing. Although I got to get more information on what happened with New Richmond. I think the guy's been out the door. Okay. The wrestling coach there. But these administrators and these board members, they do not protect the children. They do not. Aaron Zupka does not protect the children. The board members at Milford do not protect the children. They protect themselves. And they protect people that they have absolutely no reason to protect other than institutional loyalty. It makes no sense. Why would they protect Aaron Zupka when Aaron Zupka has an absolute pattern of despicable behavior and covering things up? But I think it happens everywhere. It's the institutional way. So let's go back here and get on Joe Dills. Okay. Joe Dills is a sad figure. He can't apparently keep it in his pants. And he's become addicted to substances to turn him into the He-Man. And I say those things absolutely black and white. Okay. So I had a long time ago had information on Joe Dill's roid usage. I had an anonymous source come to me, give me, I have recorded calls. I have text messages. of Joe Dill's procuring illegal substances to bulk himself up. And he was involved with Mark Ritter, who is a dirtbag. I don't know what Mark Ritter's status is. He was charged for manslaughter or something like that in Northern Kentucky for giving drugs to somebody. But he ran a gym that Joe Dill's hung out at, the Royd Gym, where everybody was having amazing results due to a little help. And Joe Dill's was doing that. He denied it vehemently to me. If you don't know who Joe Dill's is, if you're from someplace else, he is a Union Township trustee in Clermont County, so where jungle gyms and so forth located. So he had this Royd issue. When I had all the evidence, he finally, after deny, he finally admitted it. This is the Joe Dill's pattern: lie as long as you can. And but that he was going to go to the sheriff and offer to be an informant against Mark Ritter and all this kind of stuff. I don't know that happened, could have happened, but I never really pursued or put out the information. The other thing that I have very credible information on Joe Dill's was that he had issues with serial affairs. This is the Ashley Madison guy, you know, everything. He's got a whole history of horn dogging, okay? Horn dogging. And if you meet the guy, you know, a lot of women, and I'm going to say this stuff, that he encounters, he's so handsy and gropey, they joke behind his back about how they feel like they got sexually molested by just a Joe Dill's handshake. Some women like it. He's got like his groupies, but the other ones talk about the creepiness of the Joe Dill's handshake experience with a girl. But anyway, so he, you got this Royd thing, the other serial affair thing. I had highly credible hearsay relating to Joe Dill's serial affairs at the time that he got separated from his wife, Nakia Dills. But I didn't have like like on the Royd thing, I had black and white paperwork. Well, later, you know, on the affairs thing, so I never did anything with the affairs thing, but his wife herself alleged the serial affairs on social media. So she apparently had her eyes open and that her husband was not the Jesus that she thought he was. And what's so sick is that she would go out there and defend Joe, and this isn't true, that's not my husband, and it was all true. Okay. And what kind of man lets a woman go out and lie for him? Okay. And assuming that she didn't know she was lying. I mean, talk about a dirtbag. Okay. So I had two different things that I did relating to Joe Dill's. The first one is that relates to his claims on Local 12, and I'll play the beginning of this. Get it to stop here. That there were homeless encampments at Eastgate Mall.
Union Township Police say they have responded to complaints about homeless people living in their cars and encampments at the mall. Union Township trustee Joe Dill says there are 1,500 people who are unhoused in Clermont County, and they all seem to end up on his doorstep, or more specifically, either at the Eastgate Mall or in nearby motels.
I have said tons about. Okay, so I have never seen, and I did a whole piece on people at the mall, walkers that are there every day, employees. Nobody knows about this homeless encampment issue at Eastgate Mall. It's complete bullshit, and I don't even know. It's a typical Local 12 nonsensical story. Why is Joe Dill's even the person that they are talking to about this? Where is anybody else? They didn't have time to go talk to anybody else. They didn't go to where they could actually find homeless people, like at the flea bag hotels where they put them in. You know, they don't do any of that. They just do this dumbass. Joe probably didn't want to get close to where actual dirty homeless people were, you know, because Jesus wouldn't go to them. So that was that story. By the way, I put this picture out here because I saw it. This is Joe Dill's in 2020 versus Joe Dill's in 2025. Joe Dill's has a serious substance abuse issue. It is obvious. I don't have any hesitation saying it because I have the text messages and recorded calls to prove it. And, you know, somebody told me I have no knowledge of I've never used an illegal drug or substance in my life. Okay. The worst I do is drink. And I actually drink low alcohol beer and get made fun of. I don't drink no alcohol beer. That's crazy. But so Joe Dill's, he has like an issue. And then somebody was telling me that is familiar with this area, is that it starts to affect your brain. Like maybe you start seeing homeless people where there aren't any homeless people. And then I also went to his house because he's hiding. Joe actually wanted to do an interview with me. He's done a few things at events, but he wanted to do an interview more with me until all this stuff came out. He thought he had me on his side, basically, that I had started thinking that he was a good guy. I don't think anybody I think all people have inherent good points and bad points, including myself. And so I went to his house. It's funny. I put in on a talk or trespass, and I put in a clip of him door knocking other people's houses. And I love this idea of our political class. I think our political class, we should put out a set of their addresses when it's election time of people running, so you can go knock their doors and ask them questions. Remember, they love to do this all the time. But Joe's hiding right now. It's sad. I mean, the biggest thing is sad, and I think actually I might end up being a very important blessing in his life, because I think he needs to just come clean. I just think he needs to purge it out and tell the truth for once in his damn life. Just tell the truth. And these people are afraid to tell the truth because they're afraid the truth, somebody's going to use it against them. Well, okay. I tell people all the time, if you talk to me, if you're a politician, you talk to me, I'm fair. Okay. If you don't talk to me, then I'm going to be up your ass on why you're not talking to me, and you're going to draw suspicion. If you tell people you're sorry and come clean, people want to forgive you. It's hard to beat on somebody that has made admissions and asked for forgiveness. It's hard to beat on them. But Joe doesn't get this, and he's just got to tell the truth. I think it would just be cleansing. And I think, what's the saying? The truth will set you free. All right. Third thing is Aaron Haslam. So my man, Aaron Haslam, which today has shown himself to be a complete dunce now that he's had to have a hearing on something. This man, Aaron Haslam, has been apparently protected his whole life. Protected so he doesn't even have the most basic skills, like look somebody in the face. I mean, it is pathetic. And this man is making charging decisions on who should be charged, who shouldn't be charged. It's sad. It is pathetic. It is preposterous. Okay. And, I said to somebody, there's ongoing stuff with this, with him. And it's, I feel like no matter what, I've already won, because everybody can see Aaron Haslam for what he is now. I mean, he is just an empty nothing. Okay. So first you have that he was trying to pick his own special prosecutor, Brian Shrive, the defender of crooked politicians working on your taxpayer expense out of Clermont County. He'll road trip to other counties to defend crooked politicians. Brian Shrive will, an absolute dirtbag. And so this is, me going, because Aaron Haslam is so protected, so tone deaf, that he actually brought in lawyers from downtown Cincinnati to defend him on not having a sticker on his plate, which is a maximum $150 fine. It's absolutely asinine. The guy is absolutely a mental case. It makes no sense why he can't. Mark DeCalvi, the crooked prosecutor in Clermont County, once didn't file a campaign finance report correctly. And Mark DeCalvi, though, at least he went to the election commission and he basically admitted it, asked for forgiveness, and blah, blah, blah. Okay. At least even if Mark DeCalvi does that. Okay. But Aaron Haslam is fighting with high-priced attorneys from Hamilton County, downtown Cincinnati, where Aaron Haslam doesn't live anywhere near there. He's doing that over this plate sticker thing. This guy cannot be in any position of authority. I mean, it's not personal. I mean, it's just he's shown himself that he should not be in any position of authority. My cat would be a better prosecutor than Aaron Haslam. The guy is a clown, and he's shown himself to be a clown, and he'll continue to show himself to be a clown because he has no ability he obviously has no ability, but he also has no wise counsel in his life that would tell him, Aaron, just fucking stand up in front of the judge, say you fucked up, I put a plate sticker on, I'm sorry, I'll gladly pay the $150,000 fine. Just do that. That's the basic. I mean, Aaron obviously isn't a Christian because he doesn't understand any Christian values. He might say he is. It's just pathetic. It's just so sad. Now, there was a hearing then on his plate thing with his high-priced Cincinnati attorney being present. And I'm going to play the very beginning of this, and so that you can.
Is there any opposition or objection to Mr. Hicks if he would like to be heard at the hearing today?
There absolutely is.
This to me is a matter where it should just be settled very quickly. Put the plate sticker on, put yourself at the mercy of the court, pay up to a $150 fine, and be done with it.
The Clermont County prosecutor will not be appointed. The Adams County prosecutor's office will not be appointed. It will be another prosecutor's office or another person that this court feels is independent.
Mr. Haslam, can you take a second to comment about
Like a
your residence here?
running.
Where
Can't
is
put
the
his
truck
head up.
actually registered? Mr. Haslam?
I don't think I'll
Do you care
ever
more-
do something wrong, or I would never do something as stupid as what he does. But if I did, even if I did something wrong, my head would be up like a man. Okay. My head would be up. I would say no comment, looking you straight in the eye. You know, this guy is just so pathetic. But did you notice the judge there saying Brian Shrive won't be the prosecutor, it'll be somebody independent? But isn't it funny how Brian Shrive is the defense attorney supposed to be representing the people for Aaron Haslam at the Board of Elections? Didn't the judge just point out that Brian Shrive's not independent? Okay, but if you watch that one video, Brian Shrive lives in Indian Hill. Not your peers. The concept of your peers is out the window on Aaron Haslam, okay? Because he's protected. He gets to have his special class of people that protect him, like Brian Shrive. Absolute dirtbags. I can't be more happy to expose it. And remember, why did it all start? They don't say, Chris Hicks is not a resident of Adams County. How can he have any standing to do this? Well, sorry, I do, okay? But it's all started because Aaron Haslam and his unique brand of crooked, fucked up, prosecutorial, whatever, came into Clermont County and did a case in Clermont County as a special prosecutor. Tyler Cantrell was the person in the room, and they blatantly threw the case to protect somebody by not calling the eyewitness. And I know it's a lot of you that I haven't gotten back to that might listen to this. And I know in Adams County, there's all kind of people come to me about Aaron Haslam not charging people when it's blatant crimes, even murder. Okay. The guy is just a nothing. He is a dunce. He probably can't, you would think he would try to hang out at West Union, but he probably can't because he's just a dunce. I mean, he's just a dunce. And I say that as a journalist. Okay. And go listen to Green. If you have a thing about that, like, well, journalists come to conclusions. Dishonest journalists don't tell you they've come to a conclusion. Go listen to Glenn Greenwald, who's a great journalist, talking about what's real journalistic integrity. And I can say as a journalist, I have investigated Aaron Haslam and come to the conclusion the man is a nothing that has been protected from any accountability, probably for his whole life or a big chunk of his life, or at least his modern life, since the time he got hooked up with the Barrett family, one of the richest families in the state, and a prolific political contributor, predominantly to Republicans. And so the last thing here is the Supreme Court case got filed. That highlighted funny, so let's see if it, okay. The Supreme Court case got filed, the last filing relating to his residency again. And whatever happened, and we're going to see whether the Supreme Court is crooked as hell also. But remember, 4 out of 7 members of the Ohio Supreme Court had to recuse themselves in this matter because they have ties to the Barrett family, okay? One that's still on the case, Fisher, Haslam worked for him, worked for his campaign doing fundraisers and bundling money. But Fisher, who's the acting Chief Justice, doesn't feel fit to recuse himself. What does that tell you? Fisher has determined that he is not conflicted, okay? Fisher lives in Hamilton County. Fisher lives in where he would hang out with these blue bloods. Fisher had Haslam doing events for him. There's record of it. What happened was in Aaron Haslam's records in the Gaffin matter. So think about when that was. He had his time logs for Frost Brown Todd, and he had activities he was doing for Justice Fisher back then. He had in his time log that he was doing an event or collecting money for Fisher. That's how I found it. Okay. And if that's where I found it, I bet you there's a shitload more, because that was only like Haslam's records of what he was doing, his billing records for a brief period of time. That was when a brief period of time when the gaff and stuff was going on. You spread that out, it's just disgusting. Our whole political, I tell everybody, just assume any political person is a dirtbag until they prove otherwise. And when they prove otherwise, assume they're going to be a dirtbag tomorrow. They all change. They all are a certain way. Okay. And if I screwed up there by not having stuff up on the screen, I apologize, because I looked over and I didn't have it on the right view. Okay, but what I had put up was an image of my post about the Supreme Court filing. You can go read all those filings. I have to do one more filing that's due on Monday. And that's when usually the fucking begins by crooked courts. But we'll see. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be a win, because the Supreme Court's either going to make them have a hearing, or the Supreme Court's going to let us know that in Ohio, election integrity doesn't matter for rich people. That's what they're going to let us know. And it's so funny this week, because if you followed the news, LaRose with this going after illegals that are voting and stuff like this stuff, I'm all for that, by the way, but it's so selective. LaRose is silent on somebody tied to John Barrett, okay, a prolific contributor, because these people have no moral and ethical compass. All right. The last thing I want to cover, and I'm going over, but I'm having fun. I hope you are. Is the Tim Rudd in Clermont County. So there's a conspiracy in Clermont County of elected officials to not allow inspections of their office. There are 10 offices involved. They will not. I asked them to be able to do news stories to provide a weekly update on what was the big accomplishment in their office, or big 1 to 5 accomplishments. They all refused to do it. So then I requested emails so that I could build it. And every one of these officials is part of a Brian Shrive-led conspiracy to hide the activities of their office. And they are all, in this regard, dirtbags. And I'm going to start with the one that should be most ashamed, because they're not a dirtbag and their soul isn't, is Sheriff Chris Stratton's part of it, Commissioner David Painter, Commissioner Bonnie Batchelor, Commissioner Claire Corcoran, Treasurer Jeannie Zermley, Auditor Linda Fraley, Clerk Paul Camphouse, Clerk Alan Freeman, and Prosecutor Mark DeCalvi. And there's been filings in this case, and you can see Brian Shrive's idiocy. He tried to get me to pay $30,000 a week to get public records. That's Brian Shrive. The guy it'd be like letting a pedophile watch your kid, is letting Brian Shrive be the chief of a civil division. And I want to say that again, because it'd be a good comparison. Letting a pedophile watch your small child would be dumb, right? Letting Brian Shrive be the head of a civil division is dumb. The guy he's like a legal pedophile, and the standpoint is he just does not care about the law. He could care less about the law, and he's just a hack defending crooked people. All right. Now, I want to cover, and I'll try to wrap it up here in 5 minutes. And I want to say about engaging me. So engaging me. So I feel a lot of pain, because I know people call me. I get tons of things on my hotline. I feel like I'm largely poorly responsive, but there's some people that get my attention immediately. Okay. If you have let me tell you the things that are going to get my attention immediately. If you have actual concrete information about an actor in something that I am currently reporting on, I'm all about it. Okay. And when I say concrete information, I don't mean that I want to talk to you about when you went to high school with them 15 years ago and you thought they cheated on the student council election. Okay. Concrete, contemporary, relevant information on something I'm already on. Like, and you know those things, Milford, New Richmond, Gaff, and Haslam, these, you can look at the things. I'm going to be all over it. Okay. On other things, specific, concrete information and allegations. Okay. Like, they held an improper meeting. Here is the video. Here are their minutes. Okay. Stuff like that. Even if it's minor, it's more likely. Now, if it's below a certain thing, I'm like that. I'm one guy. Okay. So I do have to make some discernment as to which things I'm going to chase after. But I offered Adams County a workshop, and very few people replied. I can help you out that way too. but a lot of but I need concrete stuff. I'd rather have concrete stuff that was narrow than some broad allegation where you have no evidence. Okay. The ways to not get me to respond are to just leave me a message saying you want to talk to me and contact you. Okay. Ain't going to happen probably. I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't have the time. Okay. For if you want to just talk to me for like a half hour about something. Okay. You need to catch me with a hook. And I'll get this in a second here as a business concept of that. You want me to look into something. I probably get 20 things a week of somebody wanting me to look into something. Look into the children's home. Look into the school district. It ain't going to happen. I'm not going on some freeform exploration. If there's something at the children's home that's wrong, go get some evidence on a specific thing that's wrong. You can already see from the Haslam thing that if I get into something and it uncovers more things, then I will journalistically cover those more things and work those more things. But I'm not going to just go and randomly investigate, like, go look into this. It's not going to happen. Okay. It's crazy to expect me to do that. A lot of times when it comes to court cases, it's very hard for me because it's he said, she said, and somebody wants help with their court case. I am not a lawyer. Okay. If there is something that has been specifically done wrong in your court case or you feel was wrong, give me the records of specifically what was wrong. Okay. Don't just say, I got a court case coming up and I'm charged with this. It's too broad and it's too he said, she said. Okay. So, but if you have evidence, okay, when you send stuff to me, I have set my desk over here. I got to understand what you're talking about. Okay. So just sending me 5,000 Facebook posts and shit like this, it's not going to be actionable on my part. I need government records. I need something clear, either write-ups that are clear. And I'd put out a template for people to use. And I think I had one person ever use the template. So, okay, sorry, I gave you a template to use and you don't use it. So I'll put it out again with this. But so I need concrete things, not generalizations. I'm not going to go just randomly investigate some school district because you sent me a note saying, go look into the school district. If there's something very, pressing that's newsworthy, I'm going to be all over it if it's something that connects. I want to tell you a business idea is we used to say 30, 3, 30, 30, 3, 30, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 30 minutes. So what is your 30-second pitch? Okay. That is going to cause me to stop and spend 3 minutes talking to you and then want to talk to you for 30 more minutes. And I tell you what, if the pitch is just they're corrupt in some school district, you should go look into it. That ain't going to do it. There was somebody today, just after the Haslam hearing, there were two people. I respect all of them, but one guy, I respect both. One was, telling me about some township being corrupt. Okay. That's not actionable. I'm not just going to go research some township in Adams County. The other one was telling me about a specific thing going on at the school that I could, if I wanted to, I could go there and visibly observe from outside. Okay. I'm going to maybe do that, right? Because it's something concrete. It's something clear. And then I can make my own judgment as to what they thought what was happening was very wrong. I could go observe it and I can determine whether I think it's really wrong. So I just encourage you, if you come to me, I want to help people. I'm only one guy though. And I appreciate people coming to me. I don't want you ever to not have hope because I don't respond to you. I try to create opportunities to show people how to do things. And if they don't, respond or avail themselves, that's on them ultimately too. I can't do everything, and I'm glad to teach you how to fish if you want. But I can't do everything. Now let's go to the Clermont Sun. And I have 3 things in the Clermont Sun, just because it's so dumb. Sometimes I forget to put it up on the screen. There you go. So this is Congressman Dave Taylor, okay, doing something with Sheriff Stratton. And here's the funny, I just thought this is funny. You have a picture that looks like the congressman and the sheriff are inspecting a toilet. Okay, maybe they need some help on their photography. This never said the picture came from the sheriff's office. So here's a tip. Don't have a picture that looks like you're inspecting a toilet. Okay. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing out of the 3 things, I think it's on page 4 here. And okay, we always got these dumb editorials. You have Andrew McAfee, and those of you not from Clermont County, Andrew McAfee is one of the weirdest MFs going, and he's gotten weirder over time. He was married. His wife was having an affair with somebody in the commissioner's office. She worked there, and then he became gay, and he doesn't even live in Hamilton County, in Clermont County anymore. He lives in Hamilton County, but he is a reliable yes man to the establishment. He's super fucking weird in my view. And but he gets appointed to all these Clermont County boards and stuff. And here he's writing a thing about Clermont County's future when he doesn't even live in Clermont County. So, only in Clermont County. Yeah, well, I guess it's like an Aaron Haslam thing. You don't have to actually in the counties like Clermont, Brown, Adams. We are blessed by Hamilton County people helping us, right? Like Andrew McAfee, Hamilton County person helping. Aaron Haslam, Hamilton County person helping. That prosecutor that Aaron Haslam's paying $150 a year, woman, idiot, from Hamilton County, helping. Ever notice when you put these people from Hamilton County into our counties, they basically F them up. And that's what Andrew McAfee does. All right, so that's the second thing. And then the third and final thing is Megan Alley, who doesn't do shit as a reporter, has this big story about her running in a marathon. So she's never had a single story about the records issues with the Clermont County Commissioner. She never had a single story in her tenure. Brett Milam before her might have had one story. She hasn't had a single story on any legal cases, on political stuff. When there was an assault in a Clermont County GOP meeting, no story. Because this newspaper is state media. They only print what they're allowed to print. Okay. And so that's the deal. But she does horrible news coverage, but she has a piece on her running in a marathon. By the way, people have asked me, why doesn't the People's Defender cover the Aaron Haslam stuff? Like, it's a pretty big deal for Adams County that your prosecutor had to appear in court over a minor misdemeanor. That would be a story, right? But I was told by the reporter that he's not allowed to do stories on Aaron Haslam. I've done some G2 and I think I know why. Okay. The paper's controlled by the government. The People's Defender is controlled by the government. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. They have a report that I think their next edition comes out on Wednesday, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. Prove me wrong. Okay. Have a story on Aaron Haslam having to go to court. There were no reporters other than me present at the Aaron Haslam hearing in Adams County Court, which I think that in Adams County, your prosecutor having to appear in court on a minor misdemeanor is a news story because it's so stupid that your own prosecutor can't figure out how to get a plate sticker on his license plate and ends up in court before a judge looking like a complete moron. That's a news story, right? So that's what I found from the Clermont Sun. All right, I think I've hit it all. I did too long, but I appreciate people tuning in and watching this, or who watch on replay. This weekly rundown of things I cover. This upcoming week, I'm again have a slam week. I just am busy with stuff that's unrelated to some of this stuff, and I'm only one guy. And the election is going to be on Tuesday, and this Haslam stuff, I got filing doing the Haslam thing on Monday, and it's a lot of work. You wouldn't believe when you see. By the way, when you see me not posting stuff, unless I tell you something else, like I'm in the hospital or something, it's usually because I'm working on something like a filing. And if you are an elected official or somebody like that, when I am not posting stuff, that's when you should be the most nervous, because I'm working on something. Okay. By the way, I have a piece I've never put out. I still got to do some editing, which is on Aaron Haslam's, all of his charitable and business interests that are all located in Hamilton County. I did a road trip to look at all of them and inspect all of them. And I pulled the 990s on all of them, which is the IRS reporting on all of them. And it's just stunning. It's just stunning that a guy that lives 50 miles away in Adams County has such a love for Hamilton County that he has had every one of his business and charitable interests that I can find per his own ethics filings is located in Hamilton County. He has interest in those, but not in the charities in Adams County, apparently. All right. That's it.